What's up, everybody? We're back with another tier listing, which is gonna be fairly quick because all the games I played was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games I played this year, 2023. And you talking about it is stacked in terms of pretty good quality games. But after the Game Awards, I could not wait to do a video like this because honestly, like Baldur's Gate, talking about like a come from behind, out of nowhere game that's like, I guess people love, but it's just like, I don't know. Beating out Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 remake, it's that was wild, very wild to me. But anyway, for this video, I'm gonna list all the games that I played, how I rank them, and you can leave a comment below. Let me know what games stood out to you and which ones you played was lackluster. Anyway, we'll start off with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, the game, I was having a great time with it, like the first half of this year, but it was like around like October where I had to uninstall it because the constant updates it does taking up so much space in my PS5 where I just had to, okay, I can't do this anymore. Can't even opt out of any new updates because it won't let me play otherwise. But the multiplayer was, fun. It's the most fun I had with like a Call of Duty game in a long time because it's the first Call of Duty game I played since Call of Duty 4 back in the day. But it's fun, I did kind of waste like a not crazy amount but a fair amount of money getting certain characters like Homelander and Starlight and Alucard. But it was a fair bit of fun. I would, well, in terms of like the maps and everything like that, I say I'm gonna give it like an A, and also mainly because of the hottie Valeria, like the Call of Duty hottie, the cartel mommy herself. Wow, I love that freaking character. Diablo 4. I've only been playing this, a few weeks now. Haven't gotten too far into it yet, but so far I'm very much digging it. Thanks to some coaxing from some friends, I've decided like, okay, let me just give this a shot. Especially it's been marketed hell throughout late summer into the fall. I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about because I don't know. It's pretty much like incepted my brain, and so far, like I've been thoroughly enjoying it. So, but it's still too early to tell to give it like an A. But yeah, it's still kind of early. I might come across certain things that I might not dig. But I give it like a high B. I'll give it like high B. Final Fantasy 16. Now, some of the developers have worked on Devil May Cry games before, which you can tell in certain combat situations. But despite the gameplay, which for the most part is good, but it also shows certain issues I have with games in general from here and there, where the cinematic stuff is taking way too long. And it feels like you're just watching a cinematic movie, and it should be like a right balance between cinematic stuff and gameplay. I think games like Spider-Man 2 or even Final Fantasy 7 Remake had like a good right balance between showing off cinematic stuff to get you into the story, but get you right back into the game. But like the cinematic stuff feels like they're darn near 2 to 3 minutes long sometimes. And being a Final Fantasy game, I want to be able to play all your assembled cast of friends. It's like you did with like Final Fantasy 7, 10, 15. It's like even 15, you can at the very least bounce between your partners, so you can utilize their gear. Here, you're just solo on your dude with the main dude that you have, and everybody else is doing their own thing, and it's not Final Fantasy in my opinion. And don't get me started with like the heavy Game of Thrones influence. It's like, okay, y'all gotta dial that back some. But I mean, the game was alright. I give it like a B. I still, all in all, enjoyed it. I'm glad it's like when you're, playing a game, you should not regret purchasing it. And I don't regret purchasing this game at all. At least I feel like I still got my money's worth, despite, the few cons I had with it. Fire Emblem Engage. Now, I do like the Fire Emblem franchise for the most part, but there are some cases where some of those games kind of make the game drag. And this game felt very draggy. And I'm not like, after a certain point, I stopped being invested in like the narrative. Three Houses so far, like in terms of Fire Emblem games, Three Houses and Path of Radiance are the main Fire Emblem games that stood out the most out of the ones that I played. And sure, Three Houses obviously influenced by Harry Potter stuff, but I was still enthralled by what's going on. You felt like with the school thing, you felt involved. I don't feel, outside of the combat, you don't feel involved with what's going on with the kingdom and stuff like that. I kind of just fell off. I got tired of it, which is a shame. And there's stuff I like about it, but I don't know. I can't give it an F. It's not horrible, but I give it like a D. Forspoken. Now, I had high hopes for this game being like the newest IP that will hit the ground running. But I think there's some situation with the, studio behind Forspoken. I can't recall what's what, but I think there was some kind of thing that's going on with them, and not sure if they disbanded or were defunct or something. I'm not sure. Could be misspoken. But the trailer and like all the early gameplay footage of this game seemed like, okay, this could be like a good new IP moving forward, kind of like what's his name with Aloy, Horizon Zero Dawn. I kind of expected another Horizon Zero Dawn situation because I love Aloy and that franchise too. But Forspoken has potential, but it seems like certain things are half finished. I think like kind of like with certain Assassin's Creed games, it feels certain stuff around side quests seems padded out or just too much for you to really feel invested to care to get too much involved with. uh and like the boss fights, they're fine for the most part. They're just fine. But the main character is also just fine. A lot of things are just fine. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, but the gameplay mechanics is lackluster. I expect you to be like Avatar The Last Airbender kind of situation with her magic, but you barely rise to the level of Korra. So I had to give Forspoken another is another D column because like man, it's like you have the potential, but you kind of like you spurned it. You dropped the ball on that one. Hogwarts Legacy. Speaking of Harry Potter stuff, I actually did enjoy this, despite the whole controversy with J.K. Rowling and all her stuff. The game mechanics is very cool. You actually get involved with the classes and everything like that. I kind of wish they already had in place a game mechanic where you can show off arachnophobia, or put on arachnophobia or something like that. Sort of off, whatever to kind of dispel spider stuff, because I hate spiders. And it was at least a couple of months after the game already released when they decided to, well, after I finished the game, they decided to implement that thing so people won't have to deal with all that. Well, beyond too late at this point. But yeah, there's some stuff that's like I don't think was needed. Like you pretty much capturing creatures like you're playing Pokemon and storing them in like your hidden valley or some kind of thing, which was fun at first, but after a while, like you don't really care to do it unless you're forced to do it. But the way they implement iconic spells you've seen from the movies or read from the books is very well done. Like you actually get to show like the wand motions, the intricate wand motions to do certain spells. All that stuff is very good. I give this another B. I did thoroughly enjoy Hogwarts Legacy, and the fact that it's just it did a fine job of separating itself from the canon stories that you know. Maybe because I'm not sure if it had to be somewhere, I won't say far in the future or just too far in the past. It's like off the beaten path of what we know. Maybe like kind of like a parallel timeline of what we know from Harry Potter. Spider-Man 2, immediate S tier. I'm a little biased because I love Spider-Man. You all know this. But like what they did with like Venom, which is impressive. And the biggest con I have so far is just they took away the costume gimmicks. That's part of the fun from the first game, where you get to, if you're choosing like Spider-Punk, you want to use your guitar to blast like a black sound radius. Or Spider-Man Noir, you can turn everything in black and white and silent. So much fun. But they took all that away. Maybe because it's too much. But also, like, another big con is like the DLC. And it's like, you wasn't ready for any kind of DLC. We probably got to wait, I don't know, a few more months before you probably have any inkling of what you're announcing for DLC for this game. Hell, even God of War Valhalla took a year before any DLC comes from Ragnarok. So hopefully we don't have to wait a whole year before Spider-Man 2 shows any kind of DLC. I imagine it'll still be very impressive, but what God of War Ragnarok shows from Santa Monica is that you don't have to force payment on unless you're like indie games like, Multiverses, where you kind of rely, because you had limited budget and you rely on micro transactions to foot the bill for everything else to compensate for all that. But if you come from like a, you know, big production company and developers and stuff like that, and you get like a bulk of the money up front, you don't have to waste, at least, you know, squeeze more money from your consumers, or you can just, you know, spend extra budget on like a free DLC. But I also give credit to Insomniac, because for like at least a couple of years long after the first game came out, you still, you know, implementing all these other costumes from what carried on from certain movies or shows or comics. And it's like, you didn't have to do that, so I give you props, because it shows the love of this franchise. What I hope to see, because they kind of hinted at it with maybe something like a Doctor Strange Insomniac game, that'd be dope. But also, the con I have for this game is just a bit the fact that there's obviously going to be like a third and final game, but you killed off most of Spider-Man's roster because of Kraven the Hunter, like Scorpion and Vulture and possibly Electro. But if you want to wrap up the final game, you got to get a lot of these villains involved. But maybe it becomes too big. But who knows, by the time the third and final installment of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, by that time, we would already be on the PS6, more than likely by that point. As long as, you know, as long as it took Spider-Man 2 to come out. Mortal Kombat 1. A tier. I like what they did with the story, with the different timelines, because they have to address the fact that, because who knows how, like, because we were just seemingly following along of, oh, we're on a good timeline where you chose Liu Kang from the Mortal Kombat 11. I was like, oh, you chose his timeline, and that's where we set. But they still kept the bad ending and chose it to make it like a parallel to the main timeline that you're on. So I thought that was a unique take. So no matter what side you chose, it all still counts in a way. So now we're pretty much on like a good soft reboot moving forward. So how and what we're gonna do, because you did kind of take out certain beloved new characters like Cassie Cage. And it's like, okay, you know, like in the next game we're gonna introduce Sonya Blade, all that other stuff. But my little nitpicks here and there is like, okay, you got Liu Kang being essentially God, and you didn't correct certain things like the Tarkatan disease. You still made that a thing. You could just easily wipe that from existence, so that way Melina doesn't have to worry about contacting that in general. But it's still, once again, she gets it, just in a different way that we seen before. Same way with like Kenshi, he still gets blinded despite your best efforts of avoiding that situation, where you could just have him have Sento in the first place. His family doesn't have to go through the whole that rigmarole with the trauma. Have Sento in that family, he gets it automatically. Avoid a whole situation of getting his eyes taken away. You still have that, or at the very least, if it's supposed to still happen, no matter, in most timelines he still has to lose his eyes. It's kind of like a canon event in of itself. You could have done a better job of having it happen irregardless of the manipulations by Liu Kang to avoid it. It still happened. I don't know, it's just certain choices. It seems like, okay, like most stuff should have been avoided. But the microtransaction is still like a pain in the ass, which is weird. But the graphics are very good. The dialogue intros, which I made a whole entire video about, that was very good, very funny. Mainly coming from Johnny Cage himself, because obviously you have to. But yeah, Mortal Kombat was a very solid game. Resident Evil 4 remake, I don't put it like an S tier. It's very well done. It's just like, It's not because it's not a remaster, it's a remake. A remaster means everything is done beat for beat like you knew from the first time when this game came out. Remake made subtle changes so that way it throws you for a loop. When you're expecting one thing, it doesn't show up, and it shows up much later, or something different shows up that you didn't expect because it never happened before in the original game. So all that stuff, very good. Leon Kennedy, obviously like a fan favorite, done very well because you have to do that character justice. You cannot screw. If you screw up Leon Kennedy, you already lost most of your fan base. That was they knew he is primarily number one of a concern to make sure he's gotten just right. Certain quips have to be just right. So they did a fine job. The atmosphere is very well done. I love Ashley for the most part. She was, handled very well. Even though it's like, because in the original game, it's like she seems like in the way, less so now, but kind of still. Unless you turn off the mechanic where she doesn't get hurt if you're shooting in her. If she happens to be in your way, she doesn't die because the stupid AI, moved her in your way. So yeah, the overall atmosphere, everything involved, very well done. Jedi Survivor. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Souls type of gameplay, but this game is still very good. The main villain, there's two main villains in here that you're following along. One being that secret hidden Jedi from like the High Republic age that you essentially defrosted from the Botha tank, but halfway through the game, he's beaten. Then you got a surprise bad guy of this dude that you think is gonna die because there's a father with a child. Oh wow, he's gonna die, but it turns out he's like a secret Sith or Grey Jedi turned Sith kind of situation. And it's like, okay, this is kind of out of the blue. What the hell? It just seems like it didn't feel like an organic way. It just kind of like sprung it on you. Even some people might have felt an inkling of something might occur, but it seems like our main line of thinking was, he's gonna die because we're too heavily invested in Bode story, like for some reason. But then once again, you get like a Vader fight, but I was kind of half hoping that we go with a different iconic Star Wars character. Instead of going with the Vader route again, you could have gone with seeing maybe, I would say Kenobi, but he'd be on Tatooine. But I don't know, make a trip to Tatooine for a mission and have Ewan McGregor voice Obi-Wan and meeting up with crap, I forgot the main character's name. Crap, what is his name? Crap, it's gonna bug the crap for me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Hold on. Cal Kestis. Jesus. Bother the crap out of me, Cal. But certain side missions, I wouldn't say was pointless, but it's like collecting flowers to make a garden kind of thing. It's like, why? How much benefit do you get from that, honestly? The different outfits and customizations of Cal is a lot more extensive, which is cool, but I kind of wish we got different costumes. I prefer it to do something to make it worthwhile to mix and match and stuff like that. Some things that KO you that doesn't need to KO you, like the Rancor, and then the falling mechanic. There's certain times when you're like not 2 feet off the ground or just slightly higher than that, just slightly, where it's enough to where it causes like a fall death, where it shouldn't. Especially if you have to double jump to make it count as like a normal fall. Even then, it barely works. It's like, I don't know. There's certain glitches like that. But I mean, I still was invested in the narrative, but it seems like kind of like throws certain surprises at you that it seems like out of the freaking blue. But I say all that to say I still enjoyed like the different lightsaber mechanics, except with the blaster mixed with lightsaber. I never utilized that for any reason. But I do love the fact that you're not just double bladed lightsaber, but you also have the Kylo Ren solo crossblade. I was like, wow, I did not expect that. I had fun utilizing that. But yeah, I'll give Jedi Survivor still an A. I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like one of my anticipated games of this year. So thoroughly enjoyed it. And finally, Street Fighter 6. I give this a straight up A immediately. It was right up there in my opinion with, well, slightly, I'm more of a Street Fighter fan anyway, but there are certain things I give Street Fighter 6 that's like slightly above Mortal Kombat 1 in terms of how, now, the whole world tour thing, I'm not a huge fan of, because they try to give it some kind of story component. I wish they could have stuck with what we got in Street Fighter 4. But I think that's where like Mortal Kombat 1 beats out Street Fighter 6 in my opinion, because the main story is done better. But the online stuff is a lot better than than Mortal Kombat 1. Of course, you got they both got iconic characters, but in terms of like costumes and other stuff, Street Fighter 6 got in a bag. And like the rollout for that was huge. But yeah, that is my ranking of all the video games that I played of 2023. S tier, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake. A tier, COD, Modern Warfare 2, Mortal Kombat 1, Jedi Survivor, Street Fighter 6. B tier, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy. There's no C tier, there's no mid, in my opinion, no mid games that I've witnessed this year, at least that I played. D tier, Fire Emblem Engage and Forspoken. But no F tier. You might make an argument for Forspoken to be an F tier, but there are still, like, I still enjoyed the main character. I just kind of wish he was fleshed out a little bit more, and with certain things wasn't so half-assed in the development of this game. But the parts that I liked still rise it to at least D rank. But those are my games 2023. What games that you thoroughly enjoyed? What's games that you really hated? Which games are mid? But yeah, at the end of each year I go through all the movies that I liked and all the games that I liked of that particular year, make a ranking. I already did my movie ranking, so it should be up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. I'll see you guys a little bit later tonight. I'll play some more Diablo 4, speaking of, and more Overwatch 2. The reason I don't have Overwatch 2 on this list is because it's a long-running game. It's been out for a handful of years at this point. Despite Blizzard's issues, I still enjoy Overwatch 2. And unlike Call of Duty, it every time it has some kind of update, it doesn't take up so much freaking space for some odd reason. But anyway, I will see you guys later on tonight for more Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. Take care, and happy holidays.